Hello everybody, Martin here doing a little bit of a special video. This is a match I played earlier today, and today is probably a few weeks from when you're watching this back the road, because yeah, I'm releasing this after GP Prague, but it was recorded before. And the reason for that is that I would prefer not to. Like, this is the exact list that I am going to be playing at Prague, unless something extraordinary happens. Prague is 2 days from now, so as of this recording. Anyways, so I played a match today, and it was like really interesting. It was against Miracles in a Legacy League, and it ended up being sort of what I would describe as like a textbook case of like what the essence of grinding station, if you're familiar with that concept of like grinding out miracles, which is going super long after sideboard. And so I decided that I would go back into the archive and rewatch it and record it and commentate on it. And the reason I need to do that now, and I can't just wait, is that with the new sort of league structure, Magic Online only saves your matches until the next league, like until you finish your league. So I either have to not play any leagues until after Prague, or I have to record it now. So, anyways, so that's it. I will run down the list for you. For long-time viewers, this list, at least the main deck, is it's somewhat standard for me now, except maybe the main deck a year ago I had in the sideboard. We have the 12 blue cards. I am running 0 copies of Preordain. Then we have we have 8 rituals, 4 Dark Ritual, 3 Cabal Ritual, and Arena of Filth. And then we have 6 discard spells, a Thoughtseize, 2 copies of Duress, and 3 copies of Therapy. I won't say that it is absolutely set in stone and or sort of weighed for me. Like, I haven't extensively tested 4 Therapy, 2 Duress, or 4 Therapy, 1 Duress, 1 Thoughtseize, 3 Therapy, 2 Thoughtseize, 1 Duress, or whatever, or 3 Duress, 3 Therapy. It's a concession to the fact that, like, I don't know, Therapy is maybe a little bit weaker because we're not just naming Force of Will. I mean, that's something of an oversimplification, but I've been for a long time been a proponent of 4 therapies, and I wouldn't be unhappy going with 4 therapies. But this is just the constellation I've decided to run with here. So business is in column C. We have 10 business spells. I'm running the M in the main and the Ad Nauseam. That is a little bit sort of naughty because it's high converted mana cost. It's a lot of high converted mana cost spells for an Ad Nauseam, but I think it's sort of within the realm of what's reasonable. We've got 2 Past in Flames. It's for a long time been a proponent of this, and just the 1 copy of Tendrils of Agony. 4 Infernal Tutors, no Dark Petition. I just couldn't fit in more high converted mana cost spells, and I'm fairly happy with this setup here. I mean, it would have to be in the slot of, I think, the Sensei's Divining Top, and I think Top offers a nice sort of alternative without coming into conflict with Ad Nauseam. Obviously, you can't just substitute Dark Petition for Sensei's Divining Top and get the same sort of effect, but in a roundabout way. Got the 15 lands. Oops. Got the 15 lands running the somewhat recent switcheroo mana base here of Misty Rainforest over Scalding Tarns because I'm running a Bayou over the Badlands. And this is in part because I'm running a crap ton of green cards out of the sideboard. Well, maybe not a crap ton, but like a lot of green stuff and green cards I want to bring in against Delver and stuff. So I think it behooves us to have access to green. I've really been liking it. Kind of makes me upset not having Badlands, but more from a conceptual point of view, I haven't as of yet been burnt by it. Got the 9 mana rocks running a Chrome Mox to make Ad Nauseam a bit more palatable, and it is also good, like can randomly be good for an early Empty the Lawrence. Yep, onto the sideboard here. We've got a massive Miracles package, and I'll get back to that as we get to sideboarding within the actual match. We've sort of completely sacrificed Death and Taxes as a matchup in terms of like haymakers there. I've been running 2 Massacre for a very long time. Other people run like Dread of Night. We only have the Chain of Vapors and the Abrupt Decay is really to bring against Death and Taxes. And I'd like to just say 2 things about that. One is that is actually like okay cards, or those are okay cards against Death and Taxes. You can definitely get a long way away with running like double Chain of Vapor. Will do a lot of work in that matchup. There are situations where it's just like horribly embarrassing when they've got like go turn 1 Mother of Runes, turn 2 their hate thing, but and like no doubt Massacre is like a gigantic beating on them, but all in all I'm okay with that. And just secondly, I think that matchup is sort of like favorable for us to begin with, so I will always feel somewhat comfortable playing it and be like, it's by no means an easy matchup. You can definitely lose to it, but our like the best cards, the best opening hands of our deck beats the best opening hands of their deck, and medium is sort of even, I think. And then like if we get a really bad hand, then their medium and probably their bad hands beat that. I'm not sure. It's not. I'm sort of talking out of my ass, but that's just sort of how I approach it. So I think it's okay not having like haymakers against them. And then I guess finally, because I don't expect to run into that many Death and Taxes players. So yeah, we've got a couple of Flusterstorms. Those coming against Miracles, but also against like other combo decks, and that's kind of nice. Anyways, sorry I have been yapping on, and I'll jump into the match. All right, so for game number 1, like I didn't know what I was up against, obviously, and I lost the die roll. I don't have these matches completely from my memory, so if I might sort of say that now I'm going to do this, and then, oh wait, no, I didn't. Why didn't I? Anyways, so I decided to keep this hand, I think. It's like, this hand will like most likely necessitate us duressing on turn 1, which is not normally like that awesome unless it's because you're going off on that turn, or possibly on turn 2, but then I don't know. So, but we're not really doing anything else, and like this is what this hand wants to do. This hand wants to disrupt our opponent like 2 turns in a row, and then play out, and then hopefully like draw into some more business. We have the Passing Flames and the Dark Ritual, so. But it depends on what our opponent does on turn 1, obviously. And then leaving up Island makes me a little bit hesitant to just fire off a discard spell. And drawing the Ponder, I decide to cast Ponder and then follow it up by like casting 2 discard spells on turn 2. Ponder shows us these cards, and we definitely want the Brainstorm. We're not crazy about getting the Thoughtseize because like that's a 3rd discard spell. The 4th land is not awesome either, but I mean we can Brainstorm next turn and put back like land discard spell, or we can just go with our plan of discarding twice. So yeah, we draw the Delta, next turn we draw the Brainstorm, and we just pass the turn. And our island playing opponent, which at this point could be Show and Tell, Miracle, Storm, plays out. They play out a Volcanic and slam their counterbalance, which is bad news for us. Not sure if it's correct for them. They see Underground Sea Ponder. I don't know how likely they are to just assume we're on combo. We could be a Delver deck, in which case it seems like, unless they can protect their counterbalance with a Force, then playing into a Daze seems a bit risky, but I guess like Underground Sea Ponder probably like indicates a Storm combo, so it's sort of high risk, high reward, or medium risk, high reward. So anyway, now we need to decide how do we approach playing into this counterbalance, because it's not game over yet. So ideally we want to lead on one spell that we don't mind losing as much as the other spells. At the same time though, we kind of want to Brainstorm and then fetch. So we decide to lead on the Brainstorm. And let's see what they reveal. They reveal the Terminus, which is pretty great. That means for the rest of this turn we can basically play whatever we want. So if we were to Brainstorm into like a Tutor and an LED, then there's actually a decent chance we can win this turn. That's a pretty big ask, obviously, and let's see what we drew. It wasn't Tutor, LED. We drew the Thoughtseize we knew about, and then we drew Ponder Delta. So we put back 2 lands, I think, and then we Ponder, which we also know now is safe. Perhaps we should have discarded here. Oh no, never mind, we do discard here. Yeah, we want to nab like Sensei's Top if they've drawn it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we should have pondered. I mean, if they had top, they would have gone turn 1 top, so it would have had to be on their second draw step. But, so, here we see something that, like, this is a stinky hand, except for the Blood Moon is actually quite devastating for us. You don't see Blood Moon main deck out of many Miracles lists, I don't think. The rest of this hand sucks, and they're going to be drawing the Terminus, so they have 2 relevant cards here. They have the Blood Moon and the Monastery Mentor. And we have to take the Blood Moon, basically, because it'll turn, like, it'll just kill us otherwise, so that's what we take. So if I'm them, I'm slamming the Mentor, I think. And that's what they do. Alright, so let's see what we draw. Another Dark Ritual. So like, we're pretty much locked to a 1 convert mana cost spell on top. So we don't want to lose the Ponder, so we fling out one of our discard spells in case they have, like, I don't know, Plowshares or something on top, because that way we don't lose the Ponder, which is more important right now, and can Ponder next turn. And they reveal the second Force. Okay, so our 1 Force gets to resolve, or sorry, our duress gets to resolve. We're going to take their 1 Force, so they can't counter us next turn. We're going to Ponder. And we really need to start hitting stuff here. And this is pretty neat. Unfortunately, we can't get to both Infernal Tutor and LED. Once we have both of those, we can win. So we have to, yeah, we're gonna draw Tutor and LED, like so. One of them now, the other one on our draw step. I was just thinking if we could have actually like played the Delta, drawn Tutor, played the Delta, Therapy our own past flames out off the rituals, but we wouldn't have enough to do anything. So So yeah, we decide to draw the LED and just play out our delta. Oh no, we forgot to play out our delta. That's embarrassing. So we know they just have like plow, force, terminus, and they swing in with the mentor. And so here we decide to lead with an LED, and they show us top, and this is terrible, basically. Yeah, this is not good. So I think, did I actually just miss a kill here? Because I know that I end up conceding soon, but like if I were to go Infernal Tutor, sack LED, get Cabal Ritual, we would have 4 mana floating. 4 would become 7. We could Past in Flames, flashback Cabal Ritual, but then we would only have 5 mana and the Infernal Tutor, and we wouldn't be able to cast any cantrip or anything. So no, it's no good. We just have to pass here, but it's basically over. We're gonna play on because like you can sometimes get lucky with their top and counterbalance if they have not that much mana. So like next turn we're going to cast like Therapy and hope they didn't find like a blue card and they draw with the top. We should have actually fetched a black mana source to be able to go Therapy and then Dark Ritual, and then if that gets countered, then another Dark Ritual. We're going to lead off though. And they're looking with top. And apparently they did not find a 1-drop because they decided to draw with the top. And we then decide to cast a Dark Ritual in response to that. Because obviously they don't have a 1 on top, or they wouldn't draw with the top. Unless they're like seriously trying to next level us. So Dark Ritual resolves, which is great. And we cast another Dark Ritual. Now, our problem is we know they have a Force of Will. Their hand is Force of Will, Plowshares, and so if the card they're drawing is a blue card, then we will lose. Like the card they're drawing with the top, and it's fairly likely, I think. But we're definitely going to go for it. But sadly, they had the Force. They had drawn they had the Force, but I mean they had drawn the Jace. So yeah, we decided to concede at this point. Alright, so I will see you for the next match, and in between that, or at the next game, but before that I will show you how I sideboard. Alright, so back for sideboarding here. Now, all of these glorious 13 cards are coming in against our opponent. And that might seem very like over the top. But it's not. It is like actually very good versus miracles. I won't be as bold as to say it makes us favorites, because it doesn't. But it changes the dynamic of the matchup significantly, and really makes them have to regard us in a different way. So we're bringing in 13 cards, and so why don't I first go over what's coming out. So what's coming out is, and this might require you to take a bit of a leap of faith, the 4 Infernal Tutors are coming out, the Ad Nauseam is coming out, the second Past in Flames is coming out, the Chrome Mox and 4 Lion's Eye Diamonds are coming out. And then we cut 2 discard spells. I usually like to cut a Therapy and a Duress. So those are the 13 cards we remove. And we replace them with to counterbalance, with Crows and Grib also being really nice against their tops. 2 Carpets of Flowers. I've always been on the fence with this card, always regarding it mostly as a anti-Delver card, but it has been insanely good for me versus Miracles. And I'll sort of get back to that in a bit. We bring in the second Sensei's Divining Top. Honestly, I would run 4 if I had the slots for it. It is so good. So good against Miracles. It serves as an 8th, or I guess 9th card on your combo turn, if things have panned out correctly, aside from just being like incredibly versatile and helping you. Like if you get it out an early Sensei's Top, it is much less critical if they hit counterbalance top before you have a decay, because you just get to sit there and you basically cantrip every turn, especially with fetch lands. Here's the bomb though, the kicker. We bring in 3 decays, which means we are running 3 tendrils, which means we're running quad tendrils after sideboard. 4 tendrils of agony, as well as an Empty the Warren, so 5 storm cards, and that is like really good against them. And here, Carpet of Flowers is also great because it means basically that we can usually in the late game, the end game, Carpet of Flowers is making us 3 to 5 mana a turn, which is a lot of mana for us to just cast 3 free spells into a counterbalance and then still have 4 mana left to resolve a Tendrils of Agony or an Empty the Warrens. The Fluster Storms are also very it's a wholly different angle to approach them with. I initially thought theory crafting with them. I thought they would be to counter their Flusterstorm, and sure, sometimes you'll do that and it'll be great, but most of the time I've used them to force through things I wanted. People will Force of Will a Carpet of Flowers and I'll Flusterstorm their Force of Will, or people will I've had situations where they go to surgical extract something and you brainstorm in response, and then they pyroblast your brainstorm, and then you just Flusterstorm both their spells. It's incredible. Well, that's not incredible. That's really good. It can be really effective, and it also sort of synergizes well with the Sensei's Top. Having a Flusterstorm on top is super sweet. So, all right. With that said, we're transitioning fully away from the Lion's Eye Diamond Infernal Tutor Storm sort of fast combo deck, and we're dedicating ourselves to a longer game against them. That doesn't mean we can't win sort of on turn 3 or 4, but it just makes it less likely, and usually games will go a lot longer. I've sort of been considering cutting both Past and Flames, to be honest, because you don't really need it most of the time with this plan, but it can still be sort of nice to just go. It can sort of act as double Tendrils if you have Tendrils and Past and Flames and a bunch of rituals. But yeah, anyways. So here is game 2. And here is another kicker where you also will need to take a bit of a leap of faith, in that we choose to play last. Or yeah, I guess that's not the correct terminology. We say no to being on the play. We choose to be on the draw. And that's because we want to hoard cards in our hand and have an extra card. Having the extra card is more valuable than being on the play here. It's card economy, really. How does this hurt us? Well, I mean, if we get a cumbersome hand, the biggest fault I find with this grinding plan against Miracles tends to actually be the mana. You would want to have, I think, access to 2 more lands, because something that will just kill you is if you can't make your land drops and you end up sort of having to either play out like lotus petals to not discard the hand size, or even worse, discard the hand size. So like if we get an opening hand with like 2 lands and no cantrips, it's sort of risky, especially if we don't have, like, if those 2 lands don't let us cast Abrupt Decay and we don't have Abrupt Decay, because then being on the draw, like they get to turn 2 with us only having had 1 turn counterbalance. Sometimes that can just lock us out. But yeah, we choose to be on the draw and we get this hand. And this is a surefire keep with this strategy. The only card I'm actually not really happy with is the Past in Flames. If that was a Tendrils of Agony, this would be perfect, but it's still really nice. They also choose to keep their 7, and they just go Tarn Go. And here we're just going to go Land Go, and we draw Decay, which is also perfect because it means we have an answer for like their first counterbalance. So also, like, we have to respect the fact that they might have Blood Moon still, like, because they showed us Blood Moon in game 1, and it's non-trivial against us, so there's a world to keep it in. I think most Miracles players with Blood Moon in the sideboard do not bring it in against Storm, so there's that. Having Misty and Misty is awkward for that because we can't get Swamp, but I think we need to get Island and then just hope to find another fetch land to get Decay online. Alright, so they Brainstorm on turn 1. Oh, sorry, on their turn 2. Another Tarn, sack, and then just pass. I guess they want to have like Pyroblast at the ready. Oh, we draw NT, or sorry, we draw Tendrils, which is pretty nice. I think we just need to cast Brainstorm in, but this is where, like, because of the land situation, we are really worried that our next draw step is not a land at this point. We also really don't want to trade 1 for 1 with them if we can help it. So we don't want to just Brainstorm into this like Pyroblast they're representing, which is a bit of which is a bit annoying. So we play out top, another land, and here actually I would much prefer them to play out a counterbalance, be tapped out, because in that case we could Brainstorm in response, fetching like Trop, and then next turn like Decay, or we just Decay end of turn and then Brainstorm on our turn. But anyways, they don't. They leave out their mana, so we just gulp here and take our draw step, and we draw a Flusterstorm. So we definitely do not want to discard the hand size. So we decide to, like, even though this is like really annoying because probes are free storm and cantrippy and all that is awesome with the natural tendrils plan, but we kind of want to see if they have the Pyroblast. This might also actually lure out a Pyroblast. But it doesn't lure out a Pyroblast, and they are sitting on Flusterstorm, Force, Plains, Red Elemental Blast, and Terminus. Luckily though, top draws or probe draws us land, so we just pass. And we also drew the Flusterstorm, which is a little bit like, I don't want to, like, I want to save the Flusterstorm for when we're trying to combo out here and not just use it to force through a Brainstorm, because they've shown us like Force and Fluster or whatever it was, Flusterstorm at least. So they're just playing lands. We take a draw step and are not punished. We draw another land, so that's awesome. We just want to be draw go as much as we can. Ideally, we want to be cantripping as well, but we, like I said, we don't want to just lose cards from our hand. We ideally want all of our cards to replace themselves. They're not doing a lot there. They're just sort of amassing cards and like sifting through the top of their library with the top. So, and now we draw a top, and this is pretty awesome. We really want this top to resolve, so much so that we would consider like fighting over it with Flusterstorm. But they do not force. I understand that they don't force because, like, force they would have to pitch maybe like their Flusterstorm, and maybe they just don't think losing a force of will, even if it's not Flusterstorm, they're pitching. Even if it's like another blue card they've drawn since then. But they could also tap out for force, but then they're tapped out. That would just be horrible if we just then killed them. So I don't think it's a like terrible play, but they have to respect that the top is really strong here for us. And they decide to not do anything, just pass the turn back, and we get to spin top at end of turn. And this isn't really that exciting. I guess like the Lotus Petal is kind of nice as an extra storm, but yeah, we decide to take the Lotus Petal and play it out. I think that was a mistake. I think I remember that that was a mistake. I was supposed to take the land instead over the Lotus Petal. That was just stupid and unnecessary. Alright, so end of our turn, they spin the top. They don't like what they see and they fetch. And here we decide, perhaps a bit sort of hastily, to try and get their top, because we want to cut them off from the top of their library. That's sort of a thing that can really hurt us against miracles, like their floating Flusterstorm. We can never discard it, and this sort of forces them to not. Yeah. But this opens us up to them drawing like a counterbalance, I guess, or Blood Moon. So they draw with top, of course, and unfortunately for us, they have found a second top, as will be evidenced in a moment. They take their draw step and they play out a second top. So that feels that's feel bad for us, but yeah, don't think we should have done that. So this is really getting to be interesting here. So here we want to draw the Dark Ritual and put the Tendrils of Agony #2 on top. And I just wanted to make sure I'd done that correctly. So here we decide to probe them. And here's where it gets pretty silly. This is the hand we see. So their hand is Brainstorm, Flusterstorm, Force of Will, Mindbreak Trap, goodness gracious, Red Blast, Snapcaster Mage, and Terminus. They have open Plains, Island, Volcanic. And I will tell you right now that they're going to die this turn. And this is sort of why I felt like recording it, because this sort of displays the power of grinding station here. So just take this in. They have access to Flusterstorm, Snapcaster, Flusterstorm. First of all, they have 4 mana. They can Flusterstorm us twice. They have Mindbreak Trap, and they have Force of Will, Pitching Brainstorm. So that is a lot of stuff we have to work through, and we have 0 discard spells. So how is this going to work out? Well, first of all, Force of Will is laughably bad against Tendrils of Agony. That's not to say it can't disrupt us meaningfully in this situation, but there's that. And like, yeah. Anyway, I'll walk you through it. So here's what happens: we probe. We know the top of our library is Tendrils of Agony, which we're about to draw, and then Polluted Delta. We don't know the rest. And here, so we're going to go for it, obviously, this turn. So the thing is, like, we're going to Brainstorm now. They could choose to Red Blast it, but if they do that, they can only Flusterstorm us once. And let's say they Red Blasted. Then then it's another situation when we would have to deal with it from there. But this is they sort of think about it. They tap their Volk, but then they think better of it and decide that they value Fluster higher than Fluster Red Blast. So we draw Carpet of Flowers, Duress, and the Delta we knew was there. So, okay. We definitely can well, maybe not. Maybe it's not definite, but I think we can manage without the Past in Flames. So we'll put that back, and we want we want both the land and the dress. We want everything here except for maybe the Past in Flames. So we'll put back Past in Flames, and then we'll put back dress, and we'll draw dress with the top. Play out the delta. That means losing top, so if we don't win this turn, then it's pretty bad for us, but I feel fairly comfortable at this point. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to duress them and see what sort of comes of that. And if that resolves, we will probably take Mind Trap or Flusterstorm, but I'm not sure. But they decide rather hastily to Flusterstorm the duress. We can pay for it, but that would mean tapping out, or we could start chaining rituals to pay for it, but that seems not that sort of reasonable. So yeah, I mean, that's all you can ask for here. Here is where it's actually fine to, like with discard spells, it's definitely fine to trade 1-for-1, but not with our meaningful sort of, well, not with our rituals or cantrips if we can help it. So we decide, we decide, and that just happened. So storm count is 4 right now. And we have to beat Snapcaster into Flusterstorm, Force of Will, and Mindbreak Trap. But we have a really strong setup here. We have a Flusterstorm, but we also have we have 2 Tendrils of Agony. If we can ever get to 8 mana, or rather, if we can ever get to 9 mana, then we should be safe, because then we can chain Tendrils of Agony. They Flusterstorm it, we let that happen. Then Tendrils of Agony again, they Mindbreak Trap that, and then we Flusterstorm Mindbreak Trap. But we can't really get to 9 mana readily. We need the Carpet of Flowers to resolve. And they decide to Mindbreak Trap that. I think if they Force of Willed this, then maybe they could have saved themselves. But what we decide to do here is we decide to cast first our Dark Ritual with Mindbreak Trap on the stack. Because if they then decide to Force of Will this, we could Flusterstorm both Force of Will and Mindbreak Trap, but then we open ourselves up to like their Flusterstorm. So that might be fine. They needed to have taken, but they let the Dark Ritual resolve. We now cast Cabal Ritual. Now it's locked in, I think. Now, like if they try to counter Cabal Ritual, we get to Flusterstorm. No, it's still not locked in. But anyways, I mean, I guess I'm not sure if I'd say I understand them not like trying to counter one of these rituals. I guess they're just trying to think like, what could like my Flusterstorm is the most valuable card in my hand now. As long as I have that, I can't lose, like that kind of thing. So it doesn't matter that I let ritual resolve. That's why, like, I think a lot of people when playing in Storm, they will just automatically think that what's going to happen is eventually the Storm player will cast like an Infernal Tutor, and that's just like that's why this grind plan is pretty strong. And so that resolves, and basically we've won now. Like the only thing that beats us is another Mindbreak Trap floating on top of their library. And if we had another mana, then we could play around that too. So Carpet Flowers is dead. We're gonna let that die because, like, if we try to Flusterstorm that, I guess that would have been fine actually. If we Flusterstorm that, then they Flusterstorm back, then we just have lethal with Tendrils as well, so it doesn't matter. But yeah. cast Tendrils, have exactly 4 mana to cast the second Tendrils as well. So I mean, this is just like overwhelming. A lot of Tendrils coming. Here, our opponent, I feel a bit sad for them. They go into super tilt mode. They use their Flusterstorm, they Snapcaster Flusterstorm and use it while the Storm trigger is still on the stack. And if you think about that, that means that when Flusterstorm has its Storm trigger resolved and all the 10 copies of Flusterstorm are on the stack, they only have my one first copy of Tendrils of Agony to target. And then once all of that resolves, 16 damage coming at ya. But, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because we have the second Tendrils anyways, but I just found that a bit funny and I guess tilting for them. And our opponent sort of realized it quite quickly. And writes misclick, and I sort of maybe got a bit cocky, and I just wrote that, yeah, well, I got the second Tendrils. Anyways, so I think they conceded. Yeah. So, I mean, that was really awesome, and quite exhilarating to play and just know that you get all this sort of set up, and then, like, I think having the quad Tendrils is just, like, super strong against them. So, and I'll just take you to game number 3. And I don't change anything for that. All right, so on to game number 3. All right, well, this is like I kept this because while Carpet of Flowers is really strong, it is a bit of a loose keep. I will admit to that. The funny thing here is also like, and I can't help but think, what are they thinking? Like when we are on the when we lost game 1, we decided to be on the draw for game 2. But I dare you to find the Miracles player that has the, well, I won't say the balls because that's not what it's about, but like that has the nerve to choose to be on the draw for like the next game. It just never happens. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would do it. I guess I would. Like logic would dictate that I would, but it's tough, right? So yeah, they keep 7. I keep a hand I should have mulliganed. They just pass. Go island, pass. We don't draw land. I probe them. We see force, Jace, and 3 lands. So not a great hand from them. We don't draw land. We decide to try and carpet them. But they force this. So now we're sort of in a bad spot. And they pitch the Jace. And they just go Lango. So we are granted a small gift here and just rip a land off the top. And we decide to get Tropical Island to cast Carpet. And if that, because, I mean, in case that doesn't resolve, we want to be able to ponder next turn. But yeah, so they've drawn a second, like a blue card for their force, like a Snapcaster. But now that their hand is 2 lands and they have 2 lands in play, so I think they're actually worse off than us. So I mean, if you think about it, Carpet actually acted like double him. I guess not really because we had to cast it off a pedal. So like I don't blame him, but I think maybe they were like tilting a little bit here. I don't know if they're supposed to just force the second copy. I mean, the first one makes sense because we're peddling it out, so like it's pretty obvious we're struggling. We don't have a land, but this leaves them with nothing, right? We draw Tendrils. That's nice. This hand is a little bit nonsensy though. And we get Decay, Grip, Ponder. We have to send this back. Having the double Flusterstorm in hand is kind of awkward here. That pedal is better than nothing, I guess, but yeah, we're not like, we need to start just making our land drops. Empty the Warrens, okay, well, that's not a land, but it's a pretty good card, like, especially in a situation like this, even like an empty for 4 or 6 goblins could be pretty nice. Counterbalance, well, we have the decay, so like, we just need to, like, draw a land. Any land now? Oh, land, awesome. And we're just going to fetch now in case they draw like a Vendilion Clique and decide to clique us while we have a fetch land on the stack and take our decay, which would be kind of annoying. This is also kind of annoying that they drew the second counterbalance. I still decide to decay one of their balances here just to not have to discard next turn. And also, I mean, if we draw another decay, that's pretty nice. They reveal a third counterbalance though, which is super annoying. Alright, so we draw a top, and we would really love for top to resolve here. Really, really love for top to resolve. We know there's a counterbalance on top, but they have fetch lands, and they decide to crack it here. We just have to hope that they don't reveal a 1-drop. They do not. They reveal a plains, which is fantastic news for us. And we just pass the turn here. They don't want to draw their plains, understandably so. So we spin the top at end of turn. And we see, yeah. What we could do is we could like cast Cabal Ritual, and if it resolves, if it resolves and doesn't reveal a land, we can cast the Petal, and then go for like 6 goblins. I'm not really sure if that's the way to go. I guess not. I guess we just want to draw the Ponder, cast the Ponder. Ponder seems sort of sacrificable. I'm not sure that's a word at this point. And they reveal another land, which means we can't get to we can't play the Petal. We can't get to red mana this turn. So I think we want the land and the Cabal Ritual. Let's draw the land here and play it out, and then next turn try and go for some goblins. I guess we can discard them now. Actually, yeah, that's the thing, because we know there's an island on top. So discarding them here is free, and they're like, they have a lot of mana. They've been sitting on 1 card for a while. They could have like Force or Flusterstorm or Counterspell. They have a Flusterstorm, so yeah, to take. And now, like, we know they are tapped, and they're not tapped. Sorry, that's not the word I was looking for. They're like, they have no fetch lands. They have no card in hand. Well, they just drew the island, so they just have an island, and they play it out. And here we just decide to take the Cabal Ritual and start off with the Petal, because if that gets countered, it's a 0 cost, and then we can cast the Cabal Ritual and fetch the Volcanic. And it does Flooded Strand. So I mean, they haven't exactly been lucky here, but I'm not pitting the counterbalance player for that. So here we cast Cabal Ritual, and we look with, I think, we should have looked with top. Like, if there was a probe, we could have like probed, drawn with top, probed stuff. That's a bit of a misplay on my part. Should definitely have done that. But we make 6 goblins. And we know they're drawing a fetch land next turn. So we know they're going to be dropping down to 10 life. We have we spun the top after, and I just clicked through it too quickly to see what was there. But yeah, we should have definitely spun before. That's sad. So we draw Brainstorm. We attack with the goblins. And just pass the turn back. And they draw another Flooded Strand. So they are up the creek. So here we look with the top, and that shows us another land, which I think we want. And I guess we were going to Brainstorm, but we're going to attack first. And let's try with the Brainstorm. Get out Basic Island just in case it ever became relevant with the Blood Moon. I think we have them by now. And they reveal Sculling Tarn to Brainstorm. Oh look, yeah, we're gonna Baby Tendrils them to death. Put back Flusterstorm and Rainforest. Cast these rituals. I mean, pity them a bit. They drew like basically lands for a bunch of turns. They fetch, and I mean if they hit a 2 on top, then hopefully that's not a. Well, hopefully it's just. I don't think there's a 2 that saves them from 6 goblins next turn. So let's see. Blood Moon. Okay, well, that means they're dead. And there she blows. So that was that. That was like an incredibly, like an insanely fun match of Storm versus Miracles for me to play. Running through it here, I stumble over some misplays that I did, which I guess is somewhat encouraging to do that. In a way, it's also a little bit unnerving that you make the mistakes during the games, but yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I think this obviously it worked out really well for me here, and it won't always do that. And our opponent got a bit unlucky in game 3, but I mean, Miracles is like a really tough matchup. It's a tough nut to crack for Storm, and this is like the essence of the grinding station, I think. So, like with that, I am going to say goodbye, and by the time this is released, I'll be back from Prague, and we'll hopefully I hope to do well. But I guess most importantly, just to have some fun and see some friends. So, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.